Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be configuring Grafana with Prometheus to monitor my home lab. So basically every home lab reaches a point where you're running a dozen services and you have no idea what any of them are actually doing. Um, so is that VM about to run out of disk? Is the cluster quietly starving for CPU? You find out when something breaks, which is the worst possible time to find out about it. So in this build, I'm fixing that. I'm going to be standing up a proper monitoring stack, Prometheus to collect the metrics and Grafana to visualize them. Why am I doing a standalone VM instead of running it in a cluster? In the Kubernetes clusters, like you'll probably find most of the videos on YouTube. That's how most of the people do it. Well, the reason is because I need to monitor my cluster. So if the watcher, this VM, it's running inside my cluster and something goes wrong in my cluster, then obviously that VM or that pod will be broken as well. So that's the reason why I'm running a standalone VM for this. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I want to do is, so I already configured the OS. I figured you guys didn't want to see any of this. I set up the this partitioning, SLinux labels, and VMware tools, and all that good stuff. It's been joined to my domain, so that's done as well. So the next thing I need to do is set up firewall rules. So I know for Grafana, I need to open up port 3000. So let's get started with that. Firewall CMD permanent at port equals 3000 TCP. So what is he doing? This is going to open up port 3000, which is the port that Grafana utilizes. Good, successful. So the next thing I want to do is I want to be able to access Grafana and Prometheus from any device on my home subnet, which is the 192.168.1.0/24. So let me create a rich rule. To do that, let's do firewall CMD permanent at rich rule equals rule, I guess I'll name it family, equals IPv4 source address 192.168.1.0/24. I'm going to define the port equals 9090. This is a port number that Prometheus uses. Protocol, it's going to be TCP accept. So we're going to accept any connections to port 9090 from any IP on my 192.168.1.0 subnet. Okay, so now let's do firewall CMD reload. Good. So the firewall part is done. The next thing we need to do is install Prometheus. There's two ways about it. You can do it from a repo, install the Apple repo repository and download it that way. But I want to do the manual process, so I know exactly where each configuration file is, what I'm doing, so that way if I ever need to troubleshoot it, I know exactly where everything is at. So the first thing I want to do is I need to create a user, a system user. So I'm going to do sudo user add system no create home. Basically, it's no home directory. Shell is going to be sbin no login Prometheus. All right, so this is going to create a user account for the Prometheus with no home directory and no login shell. Successful, that's good. Next thing I want to do, so now I need the tar file for the Prometheus package. So let's go over to temp and curl https github Prometheus releases download. I think that's right. The latest version, I think, is 3.13.1 Prometheus -3.13.1 Linux AMD64 tar gz. Let me look that over real quick. https github.com Prometheus /Prometheus releases. Yeah, I think that looks good. All right, so now we're gonna let's run the tar command xzf Prometheus. Okay. So now we're gonna cd into it, and now we're going to install it. Sudo install -m0755. That's the permissions. Prometheus prom tool user local bin. That's good. And let's check the version to make sure everything works correctly. Prometheus version. Good. So that's good. So now we need to start making creating directories. So the service runs as a lockdown system account with no shell. If the process is ever compromised, there's no interactive user to hand over. Prompt2 is a companion to that validates configs before we restart. We'll use it every time we change something. Okay, so directories and configuration. All right, so let's make sudo make dir-p etc Prometheus rules. That one's done. We need to change the ownership of a few directories, so we'll do sudo change ownership -r Prometheus user Prometheus group to etc Prometheus and to var lib Prometheus. I'm on. Okay, not sure why that took a little bit. Okay, so now we need to do the Prometheus YAML file. Sudo. Do I have Vim? I don't think I have Vim, so let me install Vim real quick. Sudo DNF install Vim -y. That shouldn't take too long. All right, so I'm back. That took about a minute or so. So let's do Vim etc Prometheus Prometheus.yaml. I'm gonna explain what I'm gonna do this file first, and then I'll explain what it is. Global scrape interval 60 seconds. Evaluation interval 60 seconds. Just want to make sure I don't have any typos. External labels lab alpha omega hn. That's my home lab label. Then we'll do scrape config job name Prometheus. So this is creating a job for itself, for the Prometheus service itself. Static config targets localhost 9090. Okay. Okay, so what am I doing here? So 60-second scrape interval, not the usual 15. Host metrics don't change meaningfully faster than that, so 60 seconds is good. And the longer interval is a quarter of the storage and query cost. So to start, Prometheus only scrapes itself, which is enough to prove the installation works. So let's go ahead and save this, save and exit. Did I not run it as sudo? Let me rerun this. Sudo, and I want to make you watch this. Let me pause the video real quick and I'll be back. Okay, so I should be able to save it now. There it is. So now let's change the ownership of that file. Sudo change ownership Prometheus user Prometheus group etc Prometheus.yaml, and let's check the configuration. Prom tool check config etc Prometheus success. That's good. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, so we want this as a service, so we need to create a systemd service file. Okay, let's do that. Let's run it as sudo, so I don't forget. Sudo vim etc systemd system Prometheus .service. Make sure that's right. Sudo vim etc systemd system. Yeah, that should be all right. All right, so we'll start with a unit. We're going to give it a description. Description equals Prometheus time series monitoring wants network online target. Network online target. Yeah, that's correct. And then after network online target. What is this doing? So we'll give it a description, a name for the service. It wants the network to be online, and it's going to run after the network is online. So that way it gives the time for the network services to be up and running. That way there's no failure for the service, given that it needs support to be available. So it needs networking. Service user Prometheus group Prometheus type simple exec start equals user local bin Prometheus config file. This is where we tell what the config file is, and that's why we wanted to make sure that config file was correct. If not, this server is going to fail to start if that Prometheus.yaml file is incorrect. So we give it the path etc Prometheus.yaml. Storage tsdb path equals var lib Prometheus. I feel like I'm having a typo in here somewhere. I'm going to double check this. They want to do storage one more time. tsdb retention time equals 180. These are just the times that I'm using for my setup. You can change these to whatever makes sense to you. Web listen address 0.0.0.0 on port 9090. So it's going to listen on any address on port 90. That's what that 0000 means. Web enable life cycle restart on failure restart sequence seconds every 5. So it's going to attempt to restart the service by itself. It's going to attempt to do it every 5 seconds. Next thing is install wanted by multi-user target. So basically any user can run it. Let me double check this real quick. Storage.tsdb path var lib Prometheus. Retention time 180 days. Web.listing address 0.0.0.9090. Okay, that looks about right. So we need to reload the daemon. So we do sudo systemctl daemon reload. Did I misspell that? DAEMO reload. Okay, so here's the moment of truth. Sudo systemctl enable now Prometheus. So this is going to enable and start the service. Okay, let's make sure it's running. Sudo systemctl status Prometheus. Failed to start Prometheus time series. Okay. There seems to be a problem with the configuration. Let me check something else. Curl -s localhost 9090 healthy. No output. So I'm pretty sure I have a typo somewhere. So let me double check this file again. And I'm gonna pause the video. Once I find the issue, I'll be back. Okay, I think I found the problem. There's no D in here. It's just web enable. So let's get rid of that guy. And web enable. So I need to reload sudo systemctl sudo systemctl enable. Oh, I can just restart Prometheus status. Okay, that looks much better. And let's run the test. Curl as localhost 9090 /dash healthy. Good. That's what I wanted. And let's see if I can access the actual interface. So this should be Sentinel and 9090. Good. So Prometheus is up and running. I'm able to access it from my desktop. That's good. So that's one down, two more to go. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is install Grafana. So for Grafana, I am going to be using a repo, the Grafana repo. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's clear the screen. Sudo vim etc yum.repos.id, and we're going to create a file name grafana.repo. Okay, here we're going to do I for insert. Grafana name equals Grafana, base URL equals HTTPS RPM grafana.com. I feel like I have a typo somewhere. Oh yeah. Repo GPG check. Yes, we're gonna, the one means enable. You can do true, false, 1, or 0. Enable equals 1. That's gonna enable the repo. GPG check equals 1. GPG key equals HTTPS. //RPM. I'm trying to do this as quick as possible so I don't make this video too long, but I'm sure it's going to be over 20 minutes. RPM grafana.com GPG.key. And this is going to make me make mistakes. SSL verified equals 1. Okay, so sudo DNF install grafana-y. That's no such command. Stop making typos. Install Grafana. All right, it's going to take a minute, so I'm going to pause the video real quick. Okay, so the Grafana packages have been installed. So now we need to enable the server. Sudo systemctl enable now Grafana-server. This is going to take a while because it's the first time that it's doing it. It needs to pull the database. So let me pause this video again. Again, this might take a minute or two, maybe a little bit longer the first time. So I'll be back once it's done. Okay, it took a few minutes. I also had to reload the daemon on the VM. It's up and running. So the next thing I want to do is I want to confirm I'm able to access it. So let's go back to my browser and let's see if I can get to HTTP. Actually, let me just do Sentinel, and this is going to be port 3000. The default username is admin. Default password is admin as well. And it's going to prompt you to create a new password. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that this dashboard is getting its data source from Prometheus. So to do that, we go over to data sources, add a data source. Prometheus is already there. They're both hosted on the same host, so HTTP localhost 9090. That's going to work. Everything else for now we can leave as default. That's fine. Save and test. Successful. So that's good. We can go back to home. So we don't have any data right now. So let's go back to here. So now what I want to do is I'm going to actually configure my server with node exporter, which is going to send data over to Prometheus, which is going to present it to Grafana, or Grafana is going to pull it, and I'll be able to create a dashboard from there. So let me come back over here. I'm logged into my server. That's what it's called. So I need to create a user for node exporter. So let's do that. User add system. No create home, so it doesn't need a home directory. Shell is going to be sbin, no login, node exporter. That's the name of the user. If I knew how to type, user add, and I'm already root, so I don't need to do sudo. Okay, so that's good. So let's go over to temp and let's download the files that I need. So we'll do curl-l uppercase o https github.com Prometheus node exporter releases download version 1.12.1. I believe that's the latest one. Node exporter -1.12.1.linux AMD 64 tar. Okay, so now we're gonna get that file xzf node exporter. What am I doing? Tar xzf node. Where is it? It should already be here. Why is it not auto completed? Oh well. Oh, I think I already did this. So let me go back to actually. No, so why is this not working? Hold on. So what did I do wrong? Let me double check. Let me get rid of RM. No, get rid of that. Yes. Okay. And let me run that one more time. Okay. Not such file directory. What am I doing wrong? Is that not the right name? It's this guy right here. XZF not in zip format. Let me go check what I'm doing wrong. Hold on. Okay, I think I got it now. I was missing the .gz at the end. So let's see if that works now. So now I should be able to run tar xzf node. Yep, there we go. So that works. Good. So now let's cd into it. That's what we want. Now we want to install it. So sudo install -m 055. Those are the permissions. Node exporter user local bin. That's where it's going to go. Okay, so now we need to create a system, a service file for this as well, so that it runs. So let's go back to, why I keep typing sudo? I'm already root. So we'll do vim etc systemd system node exporter that service. Okay, and just to make this clear, I'm going to pause the video real quick. I'm going to type out what I need to type it, then I'll explain it real quick. Okay, so just like the other service that we created for Prometheus, this is basically the same thing. Description, we're giving it a name. It's a node exporter. It's going to wait for the network services to be up. It's going to start after the network services. We're identifying the user, which is the node exporter user that we created, same group name. Then we're giving it the start location where the configuration file is going to be, and it's going to be listening on any address on port 9100. So I need to configure firewall to open up 9100. Restart on failure. We're setting that up. It's going to try every 5 seconds. So let's go ahead and save this. Let's go ahead and save it. And let's reload system ctl reload, and moment of truth. I want to make sure it starts. Enable now node exporter. Okay, let's run a status. Okay, seems like it's running. So like I said, I need to set up a firewall rule for this. Firewall cmd permanent at reach rule equals rule. Again, this is so it listens just to these guys. So let's do rule family equals IPv4 source address equals 192.168.1.90/32 port equals 9100. That's what we want. Protocol equals TCP accept. I think that's what it should be. Actually 90, I don't think this IP is correct. So what's my Sentinel's IP address? I think it's a different IP, and that's what I need to put in there. 102. So yep, that's incorrect. So it needs to be 102. 102. Okay. Let's reload. Firewall cmd reload. Okay, so now I need to add the scrape target on Sentinel. So let's go back over here, and I need to edit sudo vim etc prometheus.yaml. I need to add a new entry for my server, job underscore name. We can name this node. Would be static configs. We'll do targets. My -srv 9100. So if I wanted to add more targets, I would just add them right here. Like if I wanted to add my Kubernetes cluster, I will do Kubernetes dash master 01, then master 02, 03, then my workers 01, 2, 3, and 4, so on and so on. I think this is the right place for it. I haven't done this in a while, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. We'll see if that's the correct place or not. What is the next thing I need to do? Um, so I think that should do it. I should be able to go over to the dashboard now and create it. But let me double check. Yeah, dashboard. I think if I do create dashboard, let's do this. Let's create that here. What do I select? Options. Hold on. So let me run. I want to see disk utilization first. I forgot where it is that I'm supposed to go to. Hold on. I haven't done this in a long time. I need to select. Where do I see my system? I should be able to see my server. Hold on. Let me check that up real quick. And for sanity check, let's run prom tool, check config, etc, Prometheus, YAML, good. And let's do a curl x post HTTP localhost 9090 reload. Good. Now our messages, so that's what we want. Okay, so now if I go back to the Prometheus website or UI, if I go to status and I do target health, now I'm able to see my server. It's pulling metrics. Good. So now let's configure the dashboard. Let's see if I remember how to do this. So we want to go over to dashboard, create new dashboard here, configure that. I'm trying to remember where I go. So this is going to be code. The first thing I want to do is disk utilization, copy. So let me write that in there. Good. Okay. So I'm having that, but that doesn't look too good. Let me see if I can fix that. So hold on. Options, custom. Let's do something. How does that look? Change bar. That looks better. There's also another option. I want to just see the actual file system name. I think it's this part right here. What do I need to set it to? I think it needs to be mount point. Let's rerun that. Okay, yep, that's exactly what I wanted. Save that. Disks, station, save that. And back to dashboard. And there we go. So look at that. We have a dashboard. We're pulling data from my server. I can see the disk utilization for that particular server. Let's say I want to add something else. So we'll go here, configure. We want to make sure we're under code. Let's capture the CPUs. I already have this copy to my notepad. Actually, let's Control V, run. So that's going to give me my CPU utilization. Again, we can, okay, that looks good. Let's give it a name. We'll say CPU utilization in percentage. Save it. Add it CPU. Save. Back to dashboard. So now we have, two visuals. Let me give this a name. This utilization percentage. Save. Updated this. Okay. And why not? Let's add one more. We can do RAM utilization. Is that incorrect? Could be. Let's try then. You know what? I haven't done this in a while, so I'll just leave it like that. So we have two. We have disk utilization and CPU utilization. That's fine for now. Again, this was just a quick video to show what you can do with Grafana, with Prometheus and Node Exporter. The next video that I'm probably going to do is I'm going to do an HA, high availability, and set up 2 Grafana VMs. The next one I'm probably just going to deploy via Ansible, so that way I don't have to redo all these configuration steps by hand. And I will try to come up with better dashboards. I haven't done this in a long time, so I'm learning as I'm going, but this is a good start. The main goal is I want to be able to capture all the data from my Kubernetes cluster, my main servers. Actually, let me show you. So I want to capture, let me do tech penguin. I want to capture all the data from these guys, from my domain controllers, my FreeIPA 1, FreeIPA 2, my load balancers, because what I'm doing is, actually, let me show you this real quick. So let me start an instance real quick. So this is a user interface that I've created. It gives me the status of all my Kubernetes clusters, all the pods services that I'm running, and I'll show you in a minute what I've done. So let me open up this. So this is giving me a code server. And what I've did, so I've created an Ansible playbook. Where is it? Check updates. Is it this one? No. Deploy. Update infrastructure. Yeah. So basically, this playbook gives me the option to update everything that I just showed you on my VCSA. And what I want to be able to is I want to be able to capture, if anything fail during the process of updating my Kubernetes cluster, my HA proxy systems, my GitLab, my FreeIPA, my NFS server, and what else am I doing in here? So NFS, FreeIPA, HA proxy, GitLab, Kubernetes, my Kubernetes workers. Yep. So I'm running all this, and I want to be able to capture it through Grafana and be able to visualize, if there's any issues with anything that I'm running. All right. Well, I hope this video is getting a little bit too long, but I hope you liked it. I hope it was informational. I hope you guys learned something from it. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.